Welcome to This Week in Warframe, a series where I keep you updated on the past week of Warframe, from announcements made by DE that don't necessarily warrant their own videos to community fan art posts and updates. So without further ado, let's go over these announcements and news from the 27th of January to the 2nd of February. Starting this week's episode of Devstream 123 was postponed. We were going to have it, and it would have included a showcase and discussion about Hildren's ability set, as well as discussions about solo extraction for endless game modes, as Rebecca did comment in Primetime 234 that they are currently working on solo extraction for endless game modes, and they were going to discuss it in Devstream 123. Now for PC players, we did have Hotfix 24.2.11, which returned Nova Prime, Mag Prime, Soma Prime, Boar Prime, Dakar Prime, and the Vasto Prime back into the Prime Vault, so you can no longer farm for their relics in-game, and you can only acquire the parts by trading with other players or opening the relics that you acquired during their opening period. Now to continue the Prime Vault, Ember Prime, Frost Prime, the Latron Prime, Reaper Prime, Sicarus Prime, and the Glaive Prime have also returned from the Prime Vault, so you can now farm their relics in-game at the locations listed in the chart on your screen. Now you can of course purchase the accessories pack as well as all the other packs available through the Prime Vault page on the Warframe website if you do want to go that route. Now also in this hotfix were changes to Archwing. So the first change was that they returned the Imperator Vandal's critical chance to 15% and the status chance to 10% when in the Archwing mode, and they changed the cost of rushing the Gravimag blueprint to 10 platinum, and they also reduced the Gravimag's blueprint rush time to 1 day. Now as for changes, they increased the time waypoints stay active in the plains of Eidolon and the Orb Valis by making them last 5 times longer. Now, as for fixes, they are available on your screen for Hotfix 24.2.11. Now, we also had Hotfix 24.2.12, and the changes that came in this hotfix was that they removed the unintentional ability for operators to use the Archwing Deployer gear item, and they made improvements towards the AI becoming stuck in staircases in the Void Defense tileset. As for the fixes for Hotfix 24.2.12, they are up on your screen. Now for console players, both Xbox One and PlayStation 4 update 24.2.9 is live on your consoles, and that is Profit Taker Part 2. So you guys now have the Orb Heist, the Strain Helmet Charger mod set, the extra Operator Amp parts, Operator Arcanes, you get Baruch, you have the Exegus, the Plinks, the Galvacord, and a lot more. If you are a console player on either PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, make sure to have a read of the forum threads. Links to both of those will be in the description down below, as well as everything else that I talk about. Now, Fortuna Part 1 on the Nintendo Switch has been sent in for certification. Finally, it has been a number of weeks, so you guys will hopefully get that soon if it does pass Nintendo's certification process. Now, in relation to the certification process for Fortuna Part 1, there was a player claiming that they are focusing on the Prime Vault and the Prime Access over fixing the game on the Nintendo Switch, and we did have DE Bear issuing the following statement. We hear you, and we see many of you have been encountering bugs and issues with the Switch updates, and we have been pretty open about these issues and the importance of getting these problems fixed. We know it seems that while other new releases are being placed in the game, such as the Prime Vault, we are not spending time on existing issues. This is far away from the actual reality of what we are doing, and we will continue to squash these bugs with fervent determination. Many of these problems come with growing pains while developing on a new platform with very different requirements. We understand that some of these bugs can be frustrating, something felt by all of us too, but this will not be the norm as we keep pushing through. So that was their statement in regards to the focus on bugs on the Nintendo Switch version of your game. Now continuing on from the actual in-game updates, we did have an update to chat moderation by DE Rebecca on the Warframe forums. This update came in the form of a short recap on the past events and changes to the system. However, we also received the following comments. As of today, we have reviewed the last month to see how moderation has changed, as well as taking a much closer look at some of the common bans, the actions of our moderation team as of the program change, and the results of actions occurring. While we abide by policy and will not release names of offenders or players, we wanted to give you a snapshot of how moderation tasks are broken up between the various systems. Right now, moderation has looked like this. This includes all platforms. 82% of moderation action came from Kickbot, and even though it's not the rest of the percentage, 17% of moderation action came from volunteers and hired staff. After review, we are seeing a lot of the same actionable reasons, While it is against policy to give you named examples, much of our manual kicks and bans actioned on by volunteers and staff are the result of users trying to circumvent Kickbot by using reordered or changed characters in an effort to evade the filter, and the rest of the kicks and bans are for inappropriate topics, threats to users, volunteers, or staff, or continued use of inappropriate channels to advertise, trade, or recruit. The post continues, our professional team is able to provide weekly snapshots into bigger picture moderation needs. She provided this image on your screen, which outlines messages left by problematic users who received bans, as well as providing a short list of notable trends that players get banned for. And to end the post, Rebecca commented, "In summary, the changes we have added to the system have had an effect that we find to be positive and functional. When mistakes are made, usually from simple human error, they are corrected and reverted. In all, the changes to the program have put it in a place that we are happy with, and we are seeing a much more structured response to the various issues that can arise within in-game chat." And of course, based on the screenshot, you can see why we need to moderate chat in the first place and what type of stuff we're focusing on. On top of Rebecca's comments and update to the chat moderation in Warframe, we had confirmation from Telluric himself, who was a chat moderator, that he is no longer a chat moderator for Warframe, and he is arguably one of the worst chat moderators we've had, and especially has been one of the highlights for the whole chat moderation situation for the past year. So it's good to see that he has been removed and there is a level of accountability there. That's all I really wanted from this whole situation, so it's good to see that at least one of them has seen repercussions for their abuse of power. And that does end the chat moderation post. We also had Rebecca commenting on a player's post about the in-game waypoints and how jittery they are, and she did reply saying that this is a glaring issue indeed, and we are working on fixing this. Now, for console players on Xbox One and PlayStation 4, you guys will have server maintenance. For Xbox One, it will occur at 9 AM Eastern Time on the 5th of February, and for PlayStation 4, it will occur at 9 AM Eastern Time on the 6th of February. We also had D.E. Taylor replying to another post about Tennogen, just outlining, once again explaining the process of picking Tennogen items, and specifically why certain Warframes don't have as many skins as the other Warframes, such as Excalibur. Now, for those interested in the Winter 29 featured Dojo contest, the winners have been announced, and I'll leave a link in the description down below to all the winners. We also had the announcement that the Plenty of Servofish contest has gone live, so players can now enter this contest by creating an online dating profile for a Warframe character and submitting that into the forum thread. The rules: you can only post one submission per player, it must be of your original work, it must be appropriate for the community forums, it cannot exceed 100 words, and you cannot reserve a post in the thread, which means making a comment and then adding that in at a later date. The prizes for this contest: first place winner will receive a Rhino statue signed by the development team, second place will get 1000 platinum, third place 750 platinum, fourth place 500, and fifth place 250. All players will have up until February 14th at 1 PM Eastern Time to enter this contest. The final announcement by DE came in the form of the Deconstructing podcast. It is a new podcast released by DE that is hosted by DE Megan and produced by DE Marcus. The podcast will release monthly, and each episode will feature members of the Warframe development team. The first episode features Michael Skyers, who is a character artist, and Kaz Adams, a weapons artist, and both Michael and Kaz are Tennogen supervisors, alongside D.E. Taylor. Now, they start the podcast off by discussing Tennogen and their involvement with the program, as well as how they were introduced and hired at Digital Extremes. Halfway through the podcast, Kaz and Megan discuss the process of making the Limbo Deluxe skin and its current process. There will apparently be 3 extra cosmetics bundled to the skin, including the tarot card throwing weapon skin, and she did state that her deadline is currently the 23rd of February, so we may see it pretty soon, and each of those skins are in their high poly, high detail stage. Now, at the end of the podcast, we did have Skies commenting that he is working on the Nyx Deluxe skin that had been previously showcased. There were no further comments that were of significance, and I do really suggest you listen to the podcast. It's, in my opinion, much better than the second stream podcast that was Warframe partner focused, and it is just more interesting hearing actual developers talk about the game in comparison to the second stream podcast. Now, on to community fan art, as we do not have any developer tweets this week. So the first fan art piece came from John Doe on ArtStation. It is a God of War Warframe crossover piece, and I think we can all agree that it's pretty cool. We also had Matt Giggs Art on Reddit posting this really cool Warframe Lotus Obscuro art style, I think is what he calls it. It's what you're seeing on screen. It looks really cool and, yeah, pretty solid. We also had two pieces from DirkSun98. The first was Khora, and the second was Garuda. That concludes this episode of This Week in Warframe. If you found the video informative, make sure to leave a like. If you think I can improve upon the series in any way, shape, or form, make sure to leave it in a comment down below, as well as your thoughts on anything that I talked about here today. As usual, the glyph codes for the channel are up on your screen right now: PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Thank you for watching, and if you missed out on last week's episode, make sure to click the annotation on the screen right now. It'll take you right to it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.